What I'm going to talk about today is a little bit of value from the trenches. People talk about how you are supposed to measure value or at least know the value of whatever you're building, but nobody really tells you about how to measure that. So I will share few examples with you how the companies that I worked with actually measured value. One disclaimer, some of those examples are a little anonymized since I'm still bound by NDAs, but they are, let's say, translated into something so similar that it's still relevant. First question, what's the difference between... My pilot's not working. Yep, now it should. Yeah. What's the difference between price and value? Anybody has an idea? Nobody? Really? I heard something really smart, but I barely heard it, so I'm not 100% sure. Bingo! Price is something we pay, and value is something we get. And this is the difference. In Polish, actually, there is no difference between value and worth. These two words. In English, there's a huge difference. A definition of value by some online dictionary is that it's basically a relative worth. So let's explore it a little deeper. Let's imagine that you're in the market for a bike. Yeah. So what would be the value of the bike that you were about to buy? What do you think? Any ideas? Welcome. What's important in a bike? Being able to ride it. Great. What else? Light frame. Yeah, so it's weight. Great. What else? Softness of the seat. Absolutely perfect. I heard that it's especially important for guys. Yep. Yeah, so comfort, the basic ability of actually using it. Yeah. Would it be different if you were using your bike for riding around a city or actually doing mountain biking? Tires, for example, yes. Tires, the frames, the way the bike is built. Yeah, it's something completely different. If it comes to software, the value ultimately always... Whoop, wrong button. Ultimately, it always boils down to money. Somewhere, if you're actually producing a commercial product, you want people to give you money for something. For example, for a comfortable seat, for a light frame, for a bike that it's actually built to go around the city instead of, I don't know, a heavy bike that is withstanding the horrors of the mountain biking. Yeah. But then the money that you ultimately want to achieve is never the immediate goal. Not even once. Look at the bike example. What are you paying for? You're paying for that comfortable seat, softness of the seat, quoting a gentleman over there. Yeah? What can be that something if it comes to software? It can be ease of use. It can be the fact that you're actually saving some time. It's the fact that you're actually saving some money. And what you want to remember is that rule, know your goal. Know what you will be using that thing for. So this is the rule number 1. Let's have an example. A software for cable TV clerks. Imagine you're going into cable TV shop and you're talking to a really nice assistant that you want to sign a contract for 2 years of cable TV with a special adult package in it, and suddenly the clerk says, okay, but your data isn't showing up. Can you find your customer ID number? Okay, you're rummaging through your phone. Okay, my number is 1273.0Z exclamation mark 7. Okay, could you repeat that, please? Okay, it's 1, 2, and so on. Okay, yeah, I have your data. It's pulling up, and sorry, the system hung. Okay, still a little 5 minutes. Go ahead, take some coffee. 2 hours later, you finally have the contract. Another hour later, you are actually able to print it out and sign it. In this case, it was actually approximately the same. With the software for cable TV clerks, they wanted to shorten the time spent at the counter by people who were going to sign a contract. So in this case, measuring that is a piece of cake. You only have to weave it into the code. You have to actually measure the time the clerk and the customer with it. It's actually using certain feature, is actually sitting on the system. Very simple. If you have something like this, you're lucky. Go ahead, you have it measured. Perfect. But in some cases, it's a little more complex. Rule 2, if you have a number, use it. So in this case, it's time. If you have a conversion rate, for example, if you have the number of customers that are using your software after the new feature, if you have the number of potential sellers that is growing on your website, if you are connecting sellers and buyers, great. Let's have another example. Show and sell my services online. How to measure value here? It was a very, very small, low-budget project. It was just a simple website. Somebody wanted to be present online. They wanted a website. They wanted a few integrations with social media. That's it. In this case, weaving measurement functionalities into the code would make this, just the website, 4, maybe 5 times more expensive. It was definitely over the budget. We wouldn't do that. Yeah? In this case, that customer did something a little different. They still wanted to know how much value they're delivering to their customer, but it was too expensive to measure it. So what they did, they actually estimated value. I know this is a really bad word at this moment, but they did estimate value. And they used relative estimation. You can use story points, but you also can use a completely abstract scale. In exactly this case, this customer used something that was developed by someone else. A different company came up with a nice scale that was easy to perceive by customers for small, low-budget projects where they wanted to estimate value really fast. It looked like that. It's paper, glass, copper, silver, gold, platinum, and titanium. If it was something just informative, it was paper. If it was something that potentially brought new customers, it was at least silver or gold. If it was something that contributed to a larger transaction, or at least potentially did that, it was platinum. Titanium never happened. There was never such a valuable feature that it would be worth a titanium. How to apply this? You can play planning poker. Yeah? You can make cards with paper, glass, copper, silver, and so on. You can also use things like, for example, the team estimation game. Anybody knows the team estimation game or a white elephant? Okay. If you don't, I would recommend Googling that. Yeah? It's a really nice way of estimating when you have lots of things and you have to categorize it. Yeah? So in this case, we just estimated it in this relative scale. Another example. Simplify tester's life. This was complex. What does it mean that a tester's life, what does it mean, simplify tester's life? In this case, these were testers of a huge network product with physical stuff in there, with some software, all interconnected, all communicating with each other. In this case, value proposition, value measurements consisted of a few elements: ease of use, automation, scripting, and tool integration. Each was measured in a different way and then summed up. For example, ease of use was from 1 to 5. Depending on how easy it was to use, there was a survey that was given to some of the users. Automation, how much time of the whole testing process they could automate in percent. Scripting, how many scripting languages and how many scripting commands it supported. And tool integration, how many external tools that they were using it supported. Yeah? So in this case, it was just a sum of four elements. And the most complex thing that you can use. In this case, the goal was connect buyers and sellers of auto parts. Huge portal. Want to connect buyers and sellers from all around the country. Yeah. So rule 3 comes in handy. Know your user. In this case, connecting auto parts sellers and buyers, there were many different users. There were shop owners, there were mechanics, there were just regular people wanting to buy a few parts, there were wholesalers, there were just garage owners. Yeah? So lots of people like that. First, to measure and estimate, because it was actually a mixture of measurement and estimation, we did something that's called a value matrix. To start the value matrix, first you have to identify your users. Anybody knows what personas are? Okay, good, quite a few. Basically, just in 2 words, personas are either real people or somebody made up that would represent user sections of your system. An example. This is an example persona, Janusz Sadowski, 62 years old, auto workshop owner. He's really bad with computers. He only approves orders, but his mechanics do it for them. Another, Marian Jaśko. This guy is a little younger. He's a skilled auto mechanic, and he's ordering parts, usually with greasy hands and in gloves in his workshop, operating on a tablet. Another, Arleta Dworak. She is a wholesaler. She wants as many people to buy lots of tires from her, specialized tires. So this is a very simple example of using personas. And in this case, these personas were then bound to elements of value. In this case, what was important for these users? Simplicity, choice, time spent, the tablet app, and a few other things. What you do is you create a table for every single feature. It sounds costly, and it is, unless you really need very detailed information about the value. You might want to go into something a little cheaper. This is how it looks. And this is what you do for every single feature. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. Sometimes it takes a lot of money too. So this is another example. Wrapping up. Most important part, 3 rules. Know your goal. If you have a number, use it. Know your user. And if you can't measure, estimate. Simple as that. Thank you.